Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Roundtable of Resilience podcast. A very special episode of FighterHeart where we invite back past guests to kind of have a roundtable and, ask them some questions that maybe we didn't ask last time or interact with each other and, ask each other questions. So, if we could, thank you, first of all. Thank you guys for joining us again. Let me start there. Um, Camille, if you want to start, with your story, and then we'll go to Billy and then Randy.
Okay. Well, in March of 2012, I was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. I had spots on my pancreas, liver, and lungs. And the first doctor who saw me, of course, told me, go home, don't do chemo. It's not going to work for you. It's too late. And I got a second opinion at the University of Miami. It's called Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. It's their cancer center. And I went there. I met an amazing team, very positive team. And they just said, is he God? And I was like, no. And then they're like, then he doesn't know. And he put it out there, in writing, the stages. And I didn't even know at the time, like that there was stage one, two, and inoperable. And they use all these words like, terminal, inoperable. And I began chemo. I had complete faith in my doctor. I never went on the internet. I never looked at anything. I just felt like I just didn't believe. Everyone around me thought I was going to die because I had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, but I just refused to believe it. And I did 17 months of chemo every other week.
Ooh.
And after 17 months, um, my oncologist said, I'm going to give you a 2-month holiday. And that was in July 2013. And I never had to go back. All the cancer is gone. And this year, I've been told twice now that I'm considered cured because I've been over 10 years clean.
Wow. Is it just, yeah, congratulations, first of
Thank
all.
you. Yeah.
Is was it just the chemo or was it like a
Right. Just
combination of
chemo.
things?
Well, it's unfortunately it's the last drug for pancreatic cancer and it's 14 years old. So I got it when it first came out, right after the trial. So I got it at 100%. Then they tweaked it in 2013 and they found they were getting as good result with it. However, it wasn't as toxic to the patient. So I did it when it was like really mean, but not everyone gets this outcome. I mean, I was at an event Friday night with all the oncologists who do pancreatic here at the University of Miami. I go to a lot of events, um, medical conferences. I deal with a lot of pancreatic foundations. I coach patients. I talk to patients. They see my story and reach out. And unfortunately, right now, we're trying to figure out why um, like 25 to 35-year-old are being diagnosed at stage 4. It's very, very upsetting. And I know a lot of girls right now who are like 35 years old going through pancreatic cancer.
Yeah, I
So
wonder why. I thought pancreatic cancer was more common in
it,
guys,
it,
right?
well, it used to be male and it used to be older, but everyone I know, I was 53. So but the majority of the people who I talk to now are in their 40s. They're in their 30s. They have young children. I mean, I can't even imagine going through with that, having little kids and facing, because, you say pancreatic cancer to anyone and they just are like, and everyone looked at me like that. And, I just was like, nope. Just I have the best doctor. I'm getting the Cadillac at chemo. I'm gonna be okay. And I just believed it in my head and it worked. So
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get back to you later, but I want to ask about your mindset and stuff going
okay.
into it. Billy, can you walk us through a little bit of your story?
Sure, sure. Um, in 2012, May of 2012, I was in a motorcycle accident. I was on my way to a motorcycle rally. I just come from a bachelor party weekend. I was sober, but I was on a motorcycle and I crashed that bike, which resulted in a compound fracture in my leg, the loss of 85% of my body's blood volume, which this is really how I lost the leg. I showed up at the hospital at Westchester Medical with 15% of my body's blood volume. endured 11 hours worth of surgery, 4 blood transfusions, flatlined twice, and then slipped into a coma. 5 days later, I woke up, asked for a cheeseburger, and that's when the journey began. Since then, I've raised money for different prosthetic or different limb loss organizations, started doing triathlons. I think I'm about to sign up for my second half Ironman here in the next couple of months. And just, really kind of leaned into the whole disabled, community and athletic thing. And yeah, that's been a big part of my journey. And given that it happened to me at the ripe old age of 38, I was definitely long past when I thought I'd have to deal with that sort of physical, obstacle. So
Wow.
Wild. How long ago did you say that was?
2012, 2012, yeah.
So 12 years ago. And you had
13.
you lost 85% of your blood volume, you said?
Yeah, I snapped my femoral artery and bled out almost instantly.
I didn't know we could survive with 15% of our blood.
Well, here's the thing. So when you lose 5% in major surgery.
Okay.
Once you get below 10%, you start losing blood because you need so much blood to circulate through your body, but it goes to vital organs. So it'll go to you. So at 10%, your brain stops getting it. And that's when, if you come back at all, you typically come back impaired. So
wow.
It's not only is it kind of amazing that I came back, but that I didn't come back with like the remnants of traumatic brain injury is pretty remarkable. Although I am a little forgetful these days, but some of that could be my age.
Yeah, that's me too, buddy. That's
What hospital? What hospital was that?
Westchester Medical. Shout out to Dr. Esprinio, who was on staff. He's the teaching surgeon, and he was on duty that weekend. It happened to be Memorial Day weekend. He
In
was
New
on
York,
call.
Westchester Hospital?
Westchester Medical up in Newburgh. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. He was on staff. He was on call. It was Memorial Day weekend, and there was a motorcycle rally. And so they were like, we're definitely going to get a call. It's just a matter of when, how many, and who it is. Wow. And on Saturday morning, May 19th, they choppered me over. Yeah.
Wow.
It was wild. Also, shout out if he's listening to retired Sergeant Matt Pinkston, who was the EMT / Army vet, who happened to be the next vehicle off the exit, blocked traffic and gave me a tourniquet, kept me alive until the EMT showed up.
You remember that, or that's what people?
Yeah, yes, I do.
You remember it? You remember?
Yeah, we had a conversation. It was weird because I remember I was laid out in the middle of an exit, and I knew I couldn't get up, and I knew which direction the traffic was coming, so I looked the other way because I just didn't want to see a truck tire. And then I hear this voice go, dude, you've been in a motorcycle accident and you broke your ankle, but you're going to be okay. And I looked up and this is older white guy, and I could tell he was lying, but I was like, all right, well, broken ankle's the best we can do. Let's go with it. Broken ankle it is. I didn't realize that my foot was underneath my shoulder next to my helmet.
Yeah. His body parts all over. You're going to be fine, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're okay. You're okay. It's like that Monty Python. It's just a flesh wound.
It's a flesh wound.
How about you?
Oh man, that's great. Are you a spiritual guy, Billy? Do you think
I would love to say
here?
that I am. Yeah. And of course, something like that kind of makes you wonder. Like, and I probably was a little bit more, but I got more questions than I got answers. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying that I admit that there's something bigger than me. I just don't know if it's a white guy in a cloud, yeah. But there's something out there. I'm kind of excited to see that one too. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't prove that there's a God, but I certainly can't prove that there isn't one.
Whatever's out there is on your side. That's for sure.
Yeah. You know what? But it was a combination of things, because in addition to Matt and let's call it divine intervention, there was also the fact that I was in really good shape when it happened. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons I lifted the action is because I didn't have high blood pressure. I had a low resting heart rate. I was a trainer at the time. I was cycling miles a week. Like, I was in really good shape. And when your body is able to take, it can take a traumatic event if it's already in good shape. But if you've got high blood pressure, fragile bones, or whatever that is, and you're not taking care of yourself, it's like wrecking a car that you haven't taken care of.
Right.
It's very similar. You take care of your vehicle, and when you need to, your vehicle takes care of you. Same thing.
Yeah, perfect. All right, we'll come back out to you, but Randy, give us a little bit of your rundown.
Hey, good to be back.
Yeah.
I also am a fellow cancer survivor. So I was diagnosed with testicular cancer in what was that, 2020. Went ahead and had surgery. I had obviously noticed some changes in my body, and so went into the doctor and had him take a gander. And he's a friend actually too, and he's like, "Oh, this does not look great, but let's get you over and get you scanned." And so they had me set up for surgery within a week. It was very fast. Had surgery, had one of my testicles removed, and then I came back as stage 2, which could mean it's obviously gone outside of being contained, but it's still at a point where you might not need chemo. So my choices after surgery were, you can do a preventive round of chemo, or you can hold off and see if it comes back and then do chemo. Luckily for me, like, testicular cancer is very treatable because it responds well to chemotherapy, so they're less scared about it coming back. Uh, Mine did come back 6 months later. It was Labor Day weekend. Family and I were on vacation, and we get a call from my doctor on Labor Day, which that's never a good sign on a holiday if a doctor's calling you. He said, "Hey, the cancer's back. It's in your lymph nodes. So we're going to have to do some chemo." So my chemo was 4 21-day cycles. And so I would go into chemo 5 days a week. And I was working at the time. I just retired in the end of 23 I'd been a police officer for 25 years and 3 months. So I was working at the time, and I would go to chemo 5 days a week, and my chemo would take usually like 4 to 6 hours, depending on how much they would have to hydrate you and which day of the week it was. So you'd sit there, get your chemo, and then I would go to work after that. At the time, I was in air operations, so my job was pretty easy. You're just in a helicopter flying circles, looking down at the ground. So I'm like, that's cool. I can do that. And it kept things kind of normal for me. So did that, did my chemo, got through 84 days of zero fun. Chemo sucks. There's no way around it. I mean, it just is what it is. But like Camille said, like, you just stay positive. Like, you have to focus on, no, I'm not going to just sit here and die. So went through all the chemo. Then that was right during the middle of COVID. So when I was going through chemo, you're just sitting there alone, and you're with other chemo patients in the room. And I felt lucky. A lot of them didn't look like they were doing so well. I just wasn't looking in the mirror too much, because I look terrible too. Looking at pictures now, I'm like, oh, Jesus, I looked horrible. So got through the chemo just in January of this year. Technically 5 years cancer free, which is a big hurdle for testicular cancer. So it's
For all
less
kids.
likely to come back, which is good. Cancer is the gift that keeps giving, though. So with my type of chemo and the amount of prednisone I was on, some pretty high doses, I got a thing called avascular necrosis in my hip. So my hip ball, essentially, it cuts off blood flow to your hip, and my hip ball collapsed on itself eventually. I've been an ultra runner for over a decade, run 50 and 100-mile ultras. And looking back at like CT scans I had, they could tell that, like, okay, when you started chemo, your hip ball was good, and now it's trashed. So April 1st of this year, I was lucky enough to have a full hip replacement. That was awesome. So got a hip replacement, and they wanted me to take like 3 months off work and recover. We got out of surgery, and they gave me this freaking delicious turkey croissant sandwich, because that was like the best thing I've ever had coming out of anesthesia. So had that. You have to go potty before they'll let you go home. So I showed them I could use a walker, and they signed me out. Got home. I went ahead and took 13 days off work, and now I'm working running like loss prevention investigations for one of our grocery stores out here in California, Nevada. So went ahead and took that 13 days off, got back into work, and then just ran. I had run 1,100 milers before that. Just ran my most recent 100 miler October 11th. And so I'm back at it, baby. So
You ran. I guess I'm hearing this right. You ran 100 miles 11
yes,
times.
yes. That was prior to the hip surgery. So since April 1st, now I've only done it once. I waited 6 months. My doctor told me to wait 6 months before I ran it. So I literally waited like 6 months and 10 days, and then bam, 100 miles. And
Oh, that's it. Only once. Oh,
it was
yeah.
a Saturday race, and I signed up for it on a Wednesday. One of my buddies was doing it. I'm like, sounds like a good plan. Let's do this. So went out
Wow.
and did that, and it was just good for me internally to know that, like, hey, okay, I can be back at it and doing what I love and out running, doing the trail runs and ultras again.
How long does it take you to run 100 miles?
Well, Camille, I'm a fat, slow guy. So I am very slow. So typically they have a 30-hour cutoff. So I'm usually in like the 28.5 hour range. This most recent 100 miler, it was an interesting setup. It was a 1.07 mile run loop that you just run over and over. So that one, I actually like stopped at my car a bunch of times, hung out. So that one I took 35 hours to do, but I'm right there at that 30 hour. I try to just make my cutoffs and enjoy. I like to get my money's worth for paying my entry fee.
So do you not stop that whole time, or?
Nah, like the most recent one, I stopped more because like your car is parked right there, so you have your own aid station, essentially, like your own food and drink and stuff, and so that made it very easy to stop a lot. Typically, like you're out in the middle of Nowheresville in the woods somewhere, so there's no stopping. You just like go through. I mean, you'll stop at checkpoints, and if your family's there crewing you, you'll just hang out with them for a few minutes and then get back on the trail. But on like 100 mile and below, there's no, like, you don't really stop. You get into the 200s and the 240s. Those are some common races where folks will like take a little nap or something.
A little.
Wild.
I have a question for you, Randy. When are you doing the Barclays?
Hey, that's a rough one. Okay. He's talking about the Tennessee. Okay.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Barkley Marathon. They call it the Barkley Marathon, but that's an intense race. And that one's great because there's no trail markings. You're just kind of on your own. There's some good YouTubes and shows about that. That's an intense race.
Can you one of you guys explain it? I never heard of it before.
I never heard.
I mean, I watched the documentary on it, and apparently it's this race that's held by some guy. There's no entry fee, or it's $1, or you bring I don't know, maybe
a license plate.
It's out in the middle of the woods. Every year it's different, and just because they hold it every year doesn't mean people finish it. Yeah. So there's a bunch of years where nobody finishes it. There's something about like it goes, because you have to go like trails, and like you have to find clues, and there's a part where you cross over into a prison or go through a viaduct or something crazy. And I think it's insane. I mean, honestly, Randy probably does know more about it than I do. But it's like an insane marathon.
It sounds like The Amazing Race, like one of those game shows.
It is insane. It's it's in the woods of Tennessee, and a guy that puts it on named Laz, and it's just an interesting race. Like you said, it's like $1 entry fee. You show up, you do your application to get in. He'll send you we regret to inform you you're in letter, and then you show up. They just tell you kind of a ballpark of when it's going to start. So you show up and you camp out. They'll blow a conch shell to let you know, like, hey, 1 hour till the start. And then he starts it by lighting a cigarette. So he'll smoke a cigarette, and that starts the race. And I want to say it's a 65-hour cutoff.
Something like that, yeah.
And you do 5 loops. And if you do 3 loops, they call it a fun run. But to complete all 5 loops is like obviously an official finisher. But it's pretty insane. Yeah, you have to get pages out of a book to show that you made it to certain points on the course. But it's
Wow.
unmarked. You're just out there in the briars, just running through the woods of Tennessee. So
That's wild.
That's a crazy one. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a really intense like distance endurance runner, it's on your bucket list.
Yeah, that one would be cool, but I'm a little slow for that one.
Well, I mean, honestly, at 100 miles, and you said you do it in less than 30, you're still talking about 3 miles an hour, which is 20-minute miles.
Yeah.
And that's not accounting for breaks, bathrooms. 30
Yeah.
miles, you got to rest at some point. So let's say you're doing 15-minute miles to account for some of that. 15-minute miles over the course of roughly 24 hours. That's a lot. That's not nothing.
It's brutal. It's I get chafing. That's my downfall in like the long runs. Is anything over like 100K is I'll just chafe, and so then you're just bleeding, and it's terrible. So
I love how you're like anything over 100K. My body starts to rub itself raw.
My body can barely run 100K. I'm breaking down. I can't even get on this elliptical over here for more than like 10 minutes.
I like it. I see the elliptical.
I know a lot of people because I participate in the Dolphins Challenge Cancer every year. And
Nice.
just a lot of the doctors, it's the biggest NFL charity. And it all goes to Sylvester, to the cancer center where I was treated. It's up to 100 million in 15 years. So it's like a huge event. It used to be smaller when I started doing it 11 years ago because I do the bike ride, and I think that's a big deal. But I don't do the 100-mile bike ride. But a lot of the doctors do the 100-mile bike ride, or it's a 5K, it's a bike ride, and then there's different rides you could do, like 14 miles, I think 55. So, but I've been participating in that, so I know a lot of people who train.
Yeah.
And but also I wanted to let you know about it's called Man Up to Cancer.
Yeah.
It's a guy, do you know him? His
I
name is
don't know.
Trevor Maxwell, and I think they call themselves the Wolf Pack, and they're all men, and it's a great place for men who are going through cancer, and they do like a outing once a year. They just did it in September. I believe he lives in Maine. I met him he came down here to a conference that I was at, and we met, and we were at the same dinner and everything. And I think he's like a really young guy. He's been going through stage 4 colon cancer for 8 years. He's had like 7 major surgeries. Yeah, a great guy though. And he's gonna go back to doing a podcast again, but you might find like, a group in there, because sometimes I've dealt with a lot of patients and support groups and things like that. Sometimes men don't want to share with this women, and I understand that. So it's a great place.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And he's a great guy, just a great guy, young guy.
What's it called one more time?
Man Up to Cancer.
Man Up to Cancer.
Yeah, and they call themselves the Wolf
Pack. Yeah.
They call themselves Wolf Pack. They just like did he's got social media, and they did like an outing. I guess they all spend the night and share, and it's really nice. I mean, he's a great guy, and what he's doing is great. And and it's a great, place for men to share, and because men obviously have different issues. They're worried about, supporting their family, and, things like that. What's going to happen to my children, this, that, and the other. And it's just a safe place for them to share their experiences and concerns and what they're going through.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
My next question stems from something Randy was just saying. He said, something like, you were in the hospital and you're like, what am I going to do? Just give up and die? Like, obviously, same with Camille and Billy, like you guys didn't give up. So do you think that's something special that's in you guys, or is that like any human you think would have made these same decisions, or is it like ingrained in, like, are you born with that kind of fight? Anyone who wants to answer can answer.
I've been thinking about this a lot recently. I've been fighting since the day I was out in the street. I realized that. Yeah. And because I met a doctor the other night, and he actually said to me, I think the cancer just got out of your body because you're too mean.
Didn't want to hang out with you.
No, he loved me, but it was so funny. He just was like, I think it just said, "I'm getting the hell out. She's just too mean."
Yeah.
Um, I was born in the Bronx in 1959, so I grew up in New York in the gritty 60s and 70s. Okay. My brother actually passed away in January, so I've been grieving a lot this year. Been having a really hard time with that, but
Sorry to
he's
hear it.
he's 5 years older. I have two older brothers as well. So I was the youngest, and I grew up in a really gritty time. Like most women that I know and meet have never been in physical fights. I mean, I think about some of the beatings I gave people growing up now as an adult. Oh my God, like I would be arrested. But it was like where you grew up and like it was either do or die. It was like, I can remember weeks like, Cindy's looking for you, and you'd be like, oh shit, you'd be going this block, trying to avoid her because and it was just so I thought I must, and then when my daughter was born, I had kidney failure, and the doctor came in and he goes, "You're gonna die." And I was like, "Oh, I just had a baby. I'm not dying." And so I prayed. I got taken to intensive care. I cried. They let me hold her, and then I went to intensive care, and my kidneys stopped. They didn't know why, and miraculously, 3 days later, my kidneys started working again. So I knew when I got my cancer diagnosis that I had already had a doctor tell me, and my mother had instilled such a faith in me, just growing up. She was Italian, she came from Italy, uh, and she was just so faith. And I think I just have a really strong faith and a really strong, like, if you tell me oh, you're gonna die or I don't believe it. Like, I just can't accept it. I have to be like, no, there's faith, there's hope and I guess I've seen miracles happen, within my family. My brother was in a really bad motorcycle accident. He was in a body cast. My boyfriend's brother died in a motorcycle accident. So I've seen, good and bad. And I just refused. For me, I just like was for everybody who would look at me like, oh, poor you, oh, pancreatic. And I was really skinny and weak looking. And I would say, don't go to my funeral before I'm there. And then people would like, ooh, okay, so
Yeah.
maybe I was mean in the cancer case. I think so. It's a great question for me because I've been thinking about that lately. I was like, because I remember my brother's stepdaughter, and I was telling my friend, I don't know why, we would play all weekend. She'd come down from Connecticut to New York, and we'd play all weekend. Before that weekend would end, she got a beating. And I knew I was going to get in trouble. I knew why. Why did I do that? I don't know. I still can't figure it out, but it was like I sent her home with a beating every weekend.
So do you think you're born with that?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
not learned behavior,
No, no. It's like so it's just in there.
like
Like
genetic.
yeah, because I also like, I lived in the DC area, I worked there, and I used to be out in the middle, late at night feeding homeless by myself. I was always just I don't know. I always knew I was different, and I just always stuck up for the underdog
Yeah.
too. Like I was stuck up for what I saw others not saying something.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
that kind of always made me a little bit like, oh, she's, opinionated and did. I remember, hey, I was 16. I met my ex-husband. The first time he brought me, his father, the first thing he looked at, she's a very opinionated girl. And, so I guess I just always had that in me
Yeah.
and it served me well. So I'm here.
What do you guys think, Billy, Randy, either one of you?
I mean, I think, you listen to Camille and you listen to, I mean, Randy was a ultra marathoner before he got sick. Mine is a little different. Both my parents are visually impaired. So I was raised by disabled parents. And I just always saw them persevering against what seemed like all odds. You
Mm.
know, to have two basically blind parents. I watched my dad walk his graduation. Both my parents had master's degrees. So, like growing up, yeah, I knew it was hard, but I knew it was possible. So, you know, being in it doesn't help that I think I got a little lucky. But I was, as Camille was speaking, it occurred to me, most people only come close to death once, and that's when they die.
Yeah.
There are a few people who come close to death, and for whatever reason, they don't go. They don't go into the light. They miss the boat. I equate it to like you're supposed to meet God, you show up, and he left without you. And you're like, wait, what? I thought I was gonna go get to see everybody, and they're like, no, he's gonna come back, but we just don't know
Yeah.
when.
Yeah.
And for those people, when you come back, an event like a truly life altering, dare I say, traumatic event will boil you down to your most basic self. And if your most basic self is a fighter or a person who endures pain, a person with a high pain tolerance, a person with a really unflappable will, you will climb back from the brinks of death, if not for no other reason than to spite death in Camille's case. So, you know, I know that I grew up just like being okay with a grind. I mean, in high school and college, I was often called, you know, oh, it's Davis, he's a workhorse, you know, very Forrest Gump, you know, lift more. Okay, coach, and you lift more, run faster. Yes, sir. And you just run faster. And then on top of that, you know, it's kind of tough because we just didn't have a car. So I just kind of expected things to be a little bit tougher because grew up in Kansas without a car. But
Yeah.
that also meant when I lost the leg and I can't, you know, yes, I was in good shape, but when I came back, I wasn't scared of public transit. I wasn't scared of people with disabilities. I knew that there were programs. I knew that there were things. First thing I said to my process is, I need to learn how to run because I knew for me, I believe that the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And I decided really early I knew sports was important, being in shape was important. And when I was still in the ICU, I remember thinking, I need to find something to focus on that's harder than being an amputee. Being an amputee cannot be the toughest thing I do every day. How can I contextualize this in sports? I'm going to learn something scary that I don't know how to do. Triathlon. I don't know how to swim. That's what I'm going to do. And I picked triathlon because I knew I couldn't swim. And I had a pretty good feeling that I wouldn't drown trying if I could live through a motorcycle accident. So I got lessons. I learned how to swim and started doing triathlons. And that became my catalyst in a sense. So, you know, you hear Randy talk about running miles before. Now he's doing it again. It's having a goal. It's surrounding yourself with positive people. And it's just not really accepting, like Camille was saying, a lot of naysayers. If you give people the opportunity, they're going to tell you no because it's easy. But what people don't realize is that kites fly against the wind, and rough seas make strong sailors. So, you know, we're all tougher than most. Everyone on the planet is tougher than they think themselves to be. Thing is, most of us don't get tested. People on this screen have been tested.
Yeah.
Interesting. Randy, you have any extra thoughts for that, or you right on?
Yeah, I mean, like Billy said too, is just like growing up, you know, my dad was in construction and just hardworking and just, you know, my parents both taught my brother and I like, hey, you just suck it up, you work your butt off, and you work through things, and nothing is not fixable unless you're dead. Like if you're dead, then it's not fixable. But you know, but until you're dead, everything is fixable. And but I do think endurance sports, you know, I got into marathons in 2004, and leading up to that, you know, I'd always been active in sports and team sports in high school and things like that. But pushing myself to that like unknown area, you know, like, hey, is this possible? Oh, yeah, marathon's possible. All right, let's go 50 miles. Let's go 100K. Let's go 100 miles. And just building that up. And there's something unique about like being able to control your own pain and understand that, oh yeah, this sucks, like it hurts really bad, but I just got to take one more step and just keep going and keep going. And I tell everybody, and I don't think I made it this phrase up, but is run the mile you're in. And it's easy in like ultra endurance sports to, you know, you hit the marathon mark in a 100 miler and you're like, oh, I got 3 more marathons to go. And so you can't do trail math. I always tell people getting into it is like, hey, don't do math. You just worry about 1 more mile. Just go to the next one. And you get to that next aid station. You can't do that math in your head and be like, oh, I got 50 more miles. This is crazy. You just run that mile, you're in. And that's the same thing with going through chemo or going through anything in life, is that, if you go to chemo and I'm like, okay, I have 84 days of chemo, 4 21-day cycles. Well, at the beginning, that seems very overwhelming. But if you break it into those small chunks that are doable, hey, I just got to make it till Friday. Get me through these first 5 days. And then I'll worry about everything else after. So, I think like just having that positive attitude and breaking those things into small chunks, and knowing, like, Billy said it, but like people kind of undersell what they're capable of. I had hip surgeon that I went to, and he was like, "Nope, you'll never run again. It's not going to happen." I said, "Okay, perfect, thanks." Next surgeon, and went to the next surgeon, who then gave me a different opinion. He's like, "You can do whatever you want, just if it hurts, stop." And I'm like, "Okay, sounds good." Well, like this most recent 100, I think my new hip was literally the only thing that didn't hurt in my body. I'm like, everything else was sore, but my brand new 20-year-old kid hip was perfect. I'm like, that was great. So it's not
Yeah.
listening to people that tell you that things aren't possible, and you just push and you keep trying and never give up.
It's interesting because there are some people that have been in the same situations as you guys, and I guess they have given up, or they've accepted that first diagnosis and not got a second opinion, and they just accepted their fate. So it's interesting to think about if it's something you're born with or not.
Yeah.
It definitely, and with something as bad as pancreatic, people, they just like, I've talked to thousands of patients. I mean, globally, I actually work now with a company in Paris we're building the first global database of outliers. They call me an outlier because I survived over 5 years with incurable disease. And we're building the first global database, and I'm trying to hook up oncologists that I meet with them to, because the only way we're going to get rid of cancer is collaboration. And pancreatic is it's on the rise, and there is no test for it. We need an early detection test, and we need new drugs. I mean, come on. We
Yeah.
have a new drug coming out the end of this year and one, but those are all immunotherapy based. It depends pretty much over 90% of pancreatic patients, they have a KRAS mutation. I didn't have that, but some people don't. So the new targeted therapies are for either BRCA or those KRAS. So where does that leave the person who they don't know their risk factor of why they got it? So, but we do know, like, now that if you get adult onset diabetes, you should be checked. Um, we know, of course, smoking, alcohol,
Mm,
obesity, those kind of things. But unfortunately, there isn't a test. And most people like myself, your pancreas is buried so far under your liver, and it's way in there. And it didn't present symptoms till it had
Mm.
gotten into my liver, and then my liver was full, and that was what caused pain that brought me to the ER. So
wild.
um, there's no real test for it. That's why, and then when the front line, the primary doctors do not know. They don't know the symptoms. I was going to the doctor. I was presenting symptoms. Oh, it's menopause because I was 53. They throw the menopause out there. I had a girl as young as 16 diagnosed with stage 4, and they kept telling her, oh, it was her hormones. She was gaining weight. She had a huge tumor.
Mm.
And she passed away like 3 days after her 18th birthday. So, this is not a young person's disease anymore, unfortunately. And we really need to find out why. And colon cancer is also on the rise amongst young, even more so than pancreatic.
It's got to be like the food, right?
I think it's all environmental. I think it's the
Yeah.
food. They're saying like that, the processed foods and all that, and that when I see like kids drinking soda or processed food,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
High
yeah,
fructose corn syrup.
Right. Well, because I grew up in an Italian household with a mother who came from it. Everything was fresh. Everything was,
Yeah.
and back then in the Bronx, there was, it was the meat store, the bakery, you went down the block and everything was fresh and
Yeah.
we ate different. Now everything is processed.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but, it's still, no matter what it is, it's processed. You try to do your best to, buy this or that and stay away from.
Yeah.
But, I just think that it's environmental. What we put on our skin, everything. Our skin is our biggest organ.
No,
Yeah.
I mean it's the food here. Oh, were you gonna say something, Randy?
Yeah,
No,
no,
no.
Oh, yeah, like the food in like Italy, like my family's all from Italy too. Like you could they my family eats pasta all day and night over there,
right.
and they're not
And
bloated.
they're healthy,
There's no
but
gluten allergies over there for some reason. Like I don't know why that
and
happens.
they walk. There's a documentary, I think was it Zach Efron who went to Sardinia? It's where my mother's from, the island of Sardinia, and people there live till their hundreds. And this guy was like 90 some years old. You should see, he walks down into the town every day to get his espresso and then back up these stairs. Zach Efron was like, and there's like 90-year-old guys just, oh, come on.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he does that every day. And they walk, drive their little roads over there. So, they grow their own vegetables.
They
I
drink
always
wine, espresso, and smoke cigarettes all
Yeah.
day. So I
All
don't
day,
understand
all
it.
day. I just got back from Spain. I was shocked how many people were.
Mhm.
Everyone was skinny,
Yeah,
and everyone just smoked
because
all day.
they
Yeah,
smoke. Same with the French. Yeah.
because they
Right.
Yeah.
smoke and they eat lunch for 2.5 hours in the middle of the
Yeah.
day.
yeah.
Yep.
My cousins are smoking cigarettes while they're eating. Like it's like they're
Yeah,
just smoking all day. And like at 5 espressos right before
Yeah.
bed, there's the double espresso. I'm like, I don't understand how everything's opposite over here.
Right.
All right, cool. Let me move on a little bit here. I got a good one for you guys. So, um, your definition of strength before and after your diagnosis or your accident in Billy's case, how's your definition of strength changed, if at all?
Wow.
I feel
Anyone?
Billy,
like for
take
me
it
it was
away.
easy. Yeah, go ahead. Well, I was gonna say for me it was easy. I was I consider myself a very athletic person growing up. I was a state champion and a D1 athlete. And if you told me prior to my accident what is strength, I'd be like the fact that I can deadlift 515 and squat 585,
Yeah.
and I'm in a green belt in jujitsu. Like if that's not strength, what is?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, it turns into, oh no, it's being able to, after losing the leg, commit to physical endurance. It's what Randy was saying, like to just run the mile that you're in and not count it. It's funny you mentioned that saying, Randy, the run the mile you're in. In triathlon, I had someone tell me before my very first race, he said, you're going to think three things. He goes, it's going to be a long day, it's going to suck, and you're going to want to quit. And every time you hear one of those things, you take another stroke, you take another step, you take another whatever, and you keep going. But just know it's going to suck, it's going to be a long day, and you're going to want to quit. And I
It's so
haven't been in any race yet where it didn't suck. It wasn't a long day. And at some point, I was like, why am I out here?
Yep.
And you still do it.
It's like you're selling yourself. You're managing your own
Yeah.
expectations.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, man often overestimates what he can do in a day and
Yeah.
underestimates what he can do in a lifetime.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true.
Yeah.
Randy or Camille, do you guys have an opinion on strength?
Oh gosh. I think for me, I was always active, but after I came out of this, once you're diagnosed with like stage 4 pancreatic cancer, your life changes. And when I stopped chemo, it was actually scary because you're like, it's keeping you alive. And what
Yeah.
do you mean, gonna give it to me now? Of course I wanted to be on holiday from it, but uh the way I was able to get my strength and power back was, here we go, doing martial arts, hitting people and things. So I have a friend who I've known in my whole life, grew up in the Bronx. He's older than me, and he's done martial arts his whole life. And he has a construction company and lives down here now too. And I just reached out to him and I'm like, listen, I feel like I'm holding my breath all the time because you're like, is it going to come back? Is it going to happen? It's like, I was living in uncertainty for many years, I mean, it's been a long time now since I had chemo and everything, but I just felt like I was holding my breath, and I reached out to him and he was like, let's go to the dojo. And then that was it. I started hitting the rubber guy, and literally the first time I did that, I felt every emotion. I cried and I felt it all drop down, like it washed away out of my body. And from then on, I just felt really powerful again. Real yeah.
How do you define strength now?
Me,
Yeah.
um, I, I, I'm sort of a badass. What, like I like walking in the room and like scoping and going, can I beat her up? Yeah. I could put her in the hospital. That's my strength. That because when you're so weak and skinny, and I could barely walk around my coffee table. I mean, if I was so weak and skinny, I was like 90 pounds, and you think you're gonna be there, and then you come back and you get stronger and stronger. Like I feel very powerful. I just feel like a really powerful person.
Awesome, awesome. Randy, how about you?
I think the same thing like Billy was talking about, like before I was diagnosed, strength was like pushing myself to run hard and run far. And then after, it's, I find strength in just doing daily activities. I'm still out running and things, but doing whatever it is, vacations with the family, visiting, our daughter in Tennessee. She's out at the University of Tennessee. And just being able to do those day-to-day things, because I look back and I'm like, yeah, I've cheated death quite a few times. Um, I've been in up close and personal shootouts with bad guys and dodged bullets and didn't get hit. And so those were some close calls back in 2012 and 2017. And then to dodge a bullet with cancer, leading up to that, before it was just like, how hard can I push my body? Now it's still, I always want to push hard and runs, but just getting out, even, if I go out for a 5 mile trail run, that's finding my strength, and just being able to know that I've dodged literal bullets, but dodged a lot of bullets in my life, and been able to still be alive today is kind of how I define my strength, just being alive and still ticking every day.
Yeah, it's not physical,
Yeah.
not a physical thing for you.
Yeah.
But I think most people, like what Billy said, like that's how they define strength. Like how much can I bench
Absolutely.
press, basically. All right, we're almost coming up to the end here. I got a couple more. Um, is there anything that you guys look back on your journeys that you kind of regret, like you wish you did something differently, or is it kind of like a no regrets kind of thing? You had everything works out the right way. You always do it. Whatever you do is the right move.
I think I can speak to my journey is that, um, going through like the cancer journey, especially, it's really out of your control. You can control going to the doctor, doing what they say, pumping a bunch of chemo in you, doing the surgeries recommended. Um, but it's just out of your control. And um, so, I think that's important to just really focus on getting through that. And
Is there
uh,
anything you would have changed that you did do?
no, I mean, like looking back, I trusted my doctors. My doctors weren't negative like Camille's. Mine were like, hey, you're going to get through this no matter what, no matter what the recurrence. Like, you just do it, do what we say, trust us, we're going to get you through this. And so I felt very comfortable with my medical team. But yeah, looking back, no changes right now.
Hey,
But
good. You did it right the first time. That's good.
I'm alive, so that worked out.
How about you, Camille? Any regrets? Anything you would change? Oh, you're on mute.
I have a puppy. As a gift to myself this year, I got myself a puppy. I got a puppy 8 years ago. He's 8. Now I got a puppy. So some girls like diamonds and what I like dogs. I'm like, no, I want a puppy. I want a puppy. She's banging on the door. That's why I did that. Muted it. My say the thing.
Do you
Oh,
have any regrets?
I
Like
none,
anything you would
none,
change?
none, nothing,
Oh,
because it brought me, honestly, to a whole new mission and purpose in life. So as crazy as it seems, I don't see it as something bad that happened to me,
Yeah.
because I'm always at medical conferences. I'm always with doctors, oncologists. Sometimes I'm sitting on a panel and I'll look down and I'll go, I'm the one who's not a doctor. Like, I feel all person, I get to go hang out in the lab with, and really see. And I get to be now part of eradicating this disease. Like, I'm part of that now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
uh,
Well, the reason I ask is kind of like if there was someone in the same situation going
right.
through it, like
Yeah.
if there's something like maybe you wish a situation you wish you handled differently or something like that. It's kind of the reason behind me asking. But Billy,
I got
anything?
one. I got
Yeah.
one. I mean, and this is specific to me,
Yeah.
but when I first lost the leg, when I first had right after the accident, the first amputation was below the knee,
Mm.
and so I was the first time I woke up, when I kept waking up over my coma time, I still had a knee, but I was just missing a lower, like my ankle and my foot basically.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until after I woke up from the coma, because I'd broken my femur as well, they were really concerned and I messed up my knee and they were really concerned. And I remember having a conversation, pretty sure I was high on Dilaudid, where they were like, well, hey, we think, we should take the knee. And the conversation was, well, if you don't, you may have to do it later and you're going to have arthritis and you don't want to have another surgery in your 60s. And I remember for some reason the numbers like you're 40 to 50, 40 to 60%, you might need to have another surgery, but you wouldn't have to have it till your 60s. And I was like, wait a minute, you mean I'm gonna have to do this shit again?
Uh,
And I was like, and they're like, but you won't have any knee pain. And I was like, all I remember focusing on was like, okay, well, if I don't have a knee, I don't have knee pain. Not really thinking if you don't have a knee, the prosthetic is significantly different.
Mm.
Like missing a foot means you're missing one. If you're below the knee amputee, you're missing
Yeah.
one joint. If you're an
mhm.
above the knee amputee, you're missing two.
Yeah.
And that's just a different. Not that it's and hey, I'm making the best of it. But if I could go back and change one thing, I don't know that I would have let him take my knee. I
Wow.
may have just said, you know what? I'm Billy motherfucking Davis. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
Billy Davis. I'll figure it out. But
That's right.
you give me what I got, and I'll figure it out from there. I
Mm.
think I would have done that different.
No, I think that's a valuable piece of advice for people to consider
Yeah.
if they went
You're
through something like
you're
that.
you're a true survivor. Like,
Yeah.
what you've done with your parents and
Yeah.
seeing, like you can just swipe adversity away. He doesn't see it. It doesn't get in your way. No,
Yeah.
because a lot of people get so hung up on things.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like some people just drag you down and you're just like they just suck it out of you?
The
You
victim mentality.
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, there's that, and I mean, there's also no
you
surprise that we're all roughly the same age.
Yeah.
So you're
yeah.
talking about a bunch of kids that grew up in the '80s, and a
Yeah.
bunch of latchkey kids that listen to cartoons and saw the world in analog. There was
Yeah.
you mentioned fighting. There used to be an honor to getting out and having a scrap up after school with a
Yeah.
kid, and knowing that at the end of it you were still going to shake hands, or
Yeah.
there was something to that. And I'm not saying that but I'm happy to be a Gen Xer, but I also think that contributes greatly to it. I am forever in some sort of pain just
Yeah.
due to usage. I'm like a car that's been in a flood and still got
Yeah,
200,000
yeah.
miles. The
I have,
shoulder, the back, the knee, it all hurts. But you know what's got to happen? I still got to do laundry. So when this call's over, I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to put on my leg. I'm going to truck downstairs and do laundry. I do triathlon so that laundry doesn't put me on my back for 2 days.
Nice. Yeah.
So funny. Oh man.
I'm in awe of you guys. So
Yeah, you guys are awesome. I'm gonna wrap it up here, but I want to know what a day in the life looks like at this point, and what some plans you guys have for the future. If there's any events you want to promote or something like that, foundations that you work with. Sometimes people who have like nonprofits they work with and stuff.
I mean, I'm going to sign up. I'm pretty. I'm not going to say. I want to. There's a half Ironman coming up that I'm really excited about. I'm not going to say the name of it, but if you know, you know. And if you happen to be following me on socials, the amputee agent, on social media, do that. I'm always working out and raising money for Limkind, Achilles, and Challenge Athletes Foundation. So hit any of those three up that's close to you.
Limkind, you said?
Them kind. We're going to Zambia next year. Well, they just got back from Zambia, but hopefully I'm going to Zambia with them next year. I can't wait. I'm going to make prosthetics for kids.
Where is Zambia? Sorry.
It's in Africa.
Africa?
Africa.
What
Yeah,
part? Like northern?
I don't know. I got to
West-
look it up.
Uh,
I haven't
I've been
gotten it's next year. I still got time.
I've gone to South Africa 3 times. I love South Africa.
I've been to Kenya twice and Ethiopia twice.
Yeah, me
So,
too. Kenya.
Zambia's not. It's. I got to look it up. I'm still in the dark. Sorry about that, Rob.
Um, I work with Project Purple. They're a nonprofit. I was at their event in Newport, Rhode Island. It was for survivors. It was a really nice event, but they do a lot of runs. You might want to look them up. They're called Project Purple, and they have runners. They go everywhere. They were in Rome, they were in Berlin, they go all over the world, and they have runners and they raise money for pancreatic cancer. And then right now I'm fundraising for my Dolphins Challenge Cancer event. That'll be in February, but we start in the fall, our fundraising, because it goes on till like March.
I mean, it's already December pretty much. So like you're already.
Oh yeah. I'm already into January. Are you kidding me? Everybody that I saw, I was like, let's just make plans for after the holidays, because right now and I live in South Florida. The traffic, everything is so busy during the holidays. It's like, let's
Yeah.
just plan January.
Randy, what do you got for us?
Coming up, like ultra running season's pretty much over for the remainder of this year, but it'll start over in January. But April, a couple races. So the American River 50 miler, I'll do that one, and then the Canyons 100K. So that one's 62 miles. Billy, we got to convert you to just ultra running, man, because
Dude,
triathlon's hard.
running is my weakest discipline. I would gladly take any support, coaching.
Mine's the swimming.
Oh, so I didn't learn to. I
buoyant.
didn't learn to swim until I was 40 with one leg. That's when I learned to swim.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So,
let's do that.
Yeah, I'll be.
Or we could just do a relay.
Trails.
Oh yeah. You take the 50 miles, you take the other 50. Billy.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
No sweat, little relay.
No relay.
Hold a baton for 50
Yeah.
miles. Just hand it off.
I'll take a 50 miler over a 1.2 mile swim. I'm like,
Dude, 1.2 mile swim. I could do that in like 45 minutes.
You can.
That's easy.
Crazy.
A 1 mile swim sounds crazy to me.
In the half
It's
Ironman.
I'm
not.
feeling such a loser right now.
Trust me. Here's the thing: 70% of your body is made of water, which means there's only 30% of you that's gonna fight that.
Yeah.
70% of you is genetically predisposed to peacefully coexist with the water. So concentrate on the 30%, which is mostly up here. You can do it.
It's a good perspective.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for sharing with us again. Thanks for coming back. Everyone else watching right now, do yourselves a favor, go back, check out Camille's and Billy's and Randy's, in individual podcasts. You'll learn a lot more about their journeys and stuff. But thank you guys so much again. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Hey, thank you.
Everyone else, thank you
Take
for
care, guys.
listening to another Roundtable of Resilience podcast. We will see you again next week.